You're listening to SM Media.
Hi, folks, and welcome to the 80, your SM Media podcast on all things west of Scotland. I'm Scott McPike. It's always a pleasure to be your host, and we have a very exciting episode this week. Not as much league action to get into, but there is obviously a fair bit been going on. But we do have a very special guest this week. It's a pleasure to welcome the manager of Kilsyth Rangers, Kevin Walsh.
How you doing, Scott? It's a pleasure to be invited on the show. As I say, I watch the show quite a lot, so here I am. I'm here for everybody to see.
No, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on, Kevin. And obviously, like as many people know, we do these. We kind of plan these out maybe a couple of weeks beforehand. And obviously, Kevin, we've been talking about coming on for quite a few weeks. It's always difficult because you don't know what's going to happen the weekend before. But again, like obviously taking obviously Saturday aside, before we kind of touch on that and where we're kind of at just now in terms of the league table, we're kind of at the 10-game mark where we can kind of roughly look at the way kind of league tables are going. Sitting six just now, obviously, Saturday will be a disappointment, but overall, sitting at the 10-game mark at six in the table in a very competitive league, how happy would you say you are at this point?
I happy, definitely. If you told me that at the beginning of the season, I'd have been quite happy to sort of say, right, well, that's a good place to be in. But certainly, if we touch on Saturday's game was a real sore one for us. But no disrespect to Bellshill. I mean, Bellshill came into the game. They handled the conditions well. The pitch being narrow as well. I don't think that suited us, but they really put us in a spin 10 minutes in, and they were aggressive, and they basically wanted the game more than us.
Right.
And we found ourselves 2-0 down, and you're really starting to battle then. I thought we did come into it in the second half, but I think the damage was done in the first half, and well done to Bellshill.
Were you surprised with kind of like Bellshill? Because like obviously they came up last season and they've had I think that was only their third win of the season. They've probably not had a great start with their own imaginations. Were you surprised at the kind of way they came out?
Well, I mean, did I go into the game thinking that we had a real chance? I did. I was looking at things above us and saying, this is a day where we can maybe get back in the hunt a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got to point out the two Bellshill centre backs. They were unbelievable. Anything that they put in that box, they won the ball. They were aggressive. So really, I mean, we come away with nothing, and quite rightly so. On the day, I'd say there's only been 2 games this season that we've disappointed ourselves, and Nielsen was another one.
Mm-hmm.
We lost our way in that game as well. I think the human error, we're handing goals to teams rather than teams cutting us open, and that's hard to take at times. But you know what, we have to dust yourself down and get back in the race. That's just the way the FIFA is.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was obviously one of the things at the start of the season that caught my eye was. He's obviously won your first 3. Obviously, St Anthony's at home, away to 4th, and then one at home at Cambuslang. And I kind of looked at that going, right, those are kind of 3 big wins to start the season. Then it was the game against Whitlets, who had started similar, and that was a 3-3 draw. But you look at your kind of goals scored and goals against. I mean, it's not too kind of behind, like 18 goals scored, 19 conceded. Like, is that kind of a fair assessment that maybe sort of like? I don't think there's an issue scoring goals. I mean, you're there. You're pretty much kind of amongst the highest in the league for scoring goals. But at the other end, has maybe been a bit disappointing conceding a few.
Well, the disappointment there, obviously, that there's a few injuries within the squad that have maybe led to that. I'm not looking for excuses because I think that not putting too much on the defence. A lot of the mistakes have came from other areas of the pitch, which have then led to the defence being put under pressure. Although the defenders and the goalkeepers, there's been errors there as well. But all the games that we've played, I don't believe for a minute that, I've actually stood there and thought, you know what, we've won this today. The games go right to the wire in 92-minute games. And as I say, touching on the St Anthony's game that day, I was a home fixture. I think the Ants could be disappointed to go away with nothing that day, and that's that was a game where I felt that was a win for us. But did we merit the big win? I didn't think so. If Ants had got a draw in that game, they would have been they've been well worthy of that. And then I look at the Whitlets game. We're 2-0 up against Whitlets, and as I say, the second half they came at us a bit again. I think we kind of shot ourselves in the foot. We let them back into the game easily. They never cut us open anyway. We also went down to Muirkirk. Muirkirk again. It was a 0-0 game. It was a horrible day. Looked like a 0-0 all day long. 90th minute, we scored an own goal. So there's not been much in the games. Not been much in the games at all.
And what do you think? Obviously, cups as well. Obviously, 2 cup games so far. Hurlford at home, come away credible 2-1 defeat against a Premier Division side, and then last week, obviously Sunday in the Junior Cup, playing kind of Bowness United, obviously coming for the Lowland League. Obviously, that a big kind of difference in terms of league, but 2 credible results and 2 credible performances. By all accounts, like, are you kind of proud of them despite obviously the results?
Oh, certainly. I if I look at the Bowness game last week, what the reports don't say is we get 2 goals disallowed. We hit the post twice with a great chance. Just 5 minutes for the end, where the striker's through and goal was just lifted out of the bar. It's fine margins. I think to go in 3-0 down against Bowness on the day was disappointing, because I felt that we really performed, and it was like I look at, I think Brendan Rodgers might have said that he's never watched a game where there's been so many mistakes and he's been punished for every one of them. I think that was similar. You know what I mean? We get punished. You get punished for 3 mistakes. But the second half performance against Bowness, I thought we were outstanding. I thought, anybody that turned up at half time wouldn't have seen that one was in the Lowland League and one was in the second division. And as I say, that I was interviewed. There was a vlogger there after the game, and I commended the players well. I thought we've done well in the day. You know what I mean? I know it was a good performance, but no cigar. I think I've been unfortunate in the cups. The two draws, two tough draws. So to exit the 2 cups to the opponents, I don't think there's any shame in the opponents that beat us. I think we've got to be realistic. But that's the way we move forward.
Absolutely. And I think obviously as well, that you look at some of the results you have had, obviously positive wise, like Cambers Lang winning 3-2. Obviously Gary Stewart, Nicky Prentice kind of scoring kind of good. They've had kind of good returns so far. Obviously Nicky Prentice scored in the 2-0 win against Larkhall as well. Like you do have a lot of kind of key players obviously that can come up with a goal. Like you see that at Kilsyth. Is it how important is that to have players that are fit and firing and able to come up with a goal in big moments?
Aye, that's everything, and I think you touched on Nicky there. Nicky's been at the club probably a decade, so he's a household name there. And as I say, he always pops up with the goal when you need it. He popped the goal on Saturday actually, Saturday as well. Gary Stewart, Again, very industry. He'll cover every blade of grass. He really puts the work in. And then obviously we've got young players there as well. And I think Gary and Nicky are really good for the young players as well, because that's not to be forgotten. There's a lot of young players in the Kilsyth squad that they're just feeling their feet at this level. It's so there's a lot to be had for what Nicky and Gary bring to the team. And as I say, running in and about the dressing room, in the training ground, they you can see them working with the players, and they're 2 good lads. They're 2 good lads.
Absolutely. And what about yourself? Obviously, kind of coming into management. Obviously, your kind of backgrounds is in kind of youth and things like that. How are you kind of finding this step into kind of west of Scotland and this kind of there's no an easy game. We see that with the league. Like, we'll get into the competitiveness in a minute, but how are you kind of finding it as a manager, kind of making that jump?
Oh, I mean, it's a different grounding that I've came from. My background, as I spoke to you earlier, is mainly youth football. And as I say, I had lots of successes at youth football, and as I say, you get to know a lot of young players. And as I say, I follow the 20s scene quite a lot as well. But me personally, being a manager at this level, yes, it's a bigger job. It's time consuming. You're on the phone. You're always at it. You're always busy. When Saturday comes, as they say, Saturday's like a whirlwind. It can be a lonely place down in there in that dugout. As I say, the Kilsyth big club. There's big support there as well. Lots of opinions. You know what I mean? So you have to deal with that as well. And you know what? I'm a great believer. Everybody's allowed an opinion.
Yeah.
The club itself, the committee, and all the support. I can't thank them for enough. When we travel on the away games to the bus is always full. So we're on the bus with them. So if it's not went well, you have to walk that gauntlet. But it's not like that at all. As I say, I've got a good relationship with most of the supporters and obviously the chairman, the committee. It's a nice place to be. Yeah. But if you're talking about how have I found my feet, probably my big mate Peter Keegan. Peter Keegan's been about the game. He's had spells at Shelton, Petershill, and as I say, I bounce off him quite a lot. He carries a load as well. So having Peter there is brilliant. So that's probably a blessing for me. If I was in the game with somebody that was maybe not got the experience that Peter's got, it would be more difficult. But as I say, having Peter there is always good.
And one thing I've spoke about a lot, probably since we started this show, was the kind of way the kind of conferences worked out has made the league super competitive. And you kind of, like a perfect example is kind of the results that you have had as well. I think just looking, I think only 3 games have been like there's been a margin of 1 goal or more. It just shows you these leagues are so tight. Like, how have you found the second division?
Oh, second division, honestly. I mean, you can sit back and look at never look too far ahead, but you look at games coming up and you just can't, 1 week that team's winning, next team, you couldn't put a coup on. You know what I mean? I don't think you win much money. What I mean? But certainly, I've found it. I find it quite exciting, because there's no easy games, and that referee blows a whistle. You don't know who's going to walk off the park winning, and it's all the way at the end. All the way at the end.
Yeah.
As I say, even the games that we've had the success in, you're still standing there, sort of 93 minutes in, and you're thinking, are we going to get this? Because the referees seem to add on a lot more time now as well. So we've had a few games where it's went to 99 minutes, but when you're one goal ahead and it's the referee's adding 9 minutes on, that can be a bit that's not good for the health,
No, certainly not. And obviously we'll get into the kind of games at the weekend. Obviously we'll obviously touch on Kilsyth's game against obviously Bells Hill a bit deeper, but it was probably more, there was a lot more cup action. Obviously, we'll get into some of the kind of cup results that kind of caught the eye. Auchinleck obviously beating Jeanfield 3-0. I think that was probably one of the kind of games that caught the eye the most. Obviously, a big team in the West, they're playing a big team in the East. We saw the likes of obviously St Cadoc's winning on Friday night against Cowdenbeath. Troon beating St Roch's 3-1. Vela Clyde beating Renfrew. You've obviously got looking at the likes of Vela Clyde. Colwynnon, I think, beating Saukeys a very, very big result. Larkhall beating Beath, I think, is one of the results of the weekend. We'll get into Beath in a minute. Eglinton having a really good showing against Bowness. Cumbernauld beating Lacour. Cumbernauld 8 and Maryhill 0. There's some big results in there, and obviously just looking at some of the sides that have come away, Thrieve beating Berwick 3-0. Look, it shows you just the way this kind of cup's working out. A lot of big results in there.
Lots of big results, Scott. As I say, just touching on the Larkhall one, I mean, obviously I've not seen much of Beef, obviously, but I mean, Larkhall, a good side, really good side. That's I think going to Larkhall and it's a tough place to go. And they've got a bit about them, and as I say, great result for them. Everybody's got to kind of look at that, and I think when you look at the first division and second division, there's a much of a much, There's much of a much. I don't think there's a big gap there. I don't think there's a big gap. I mean, the thing about the cup games, it's a one-off game. I get that, right? It's a day over a season. is more difficult. You touched on the Vela Clyde one there as well. Vela Clyde, big powerful side. The two strikers up there. They'd be a handful for most Premier League defenders. And I think on their day, they can be a tough nut to crack. I think they've kind of fell off it a wee bit there a couple of weeks, but they'll be back on it with that result. They'll be back with that.
Absolutely.
Cumbernauld, again, got a tough side as well. We played them a couple of times last season. Feel sorry for Mark at the moment at Maryhill. Mark's a great lad. He's had a lot of draws, but you know what? He plays his brand of football and he sticks to it. And I heard his interview after the game, and hopefully he'll come out with this. And as I say, nobody likes to kind of lose that way, but I'm sure they'll be fine. Got a great football side, lots of young players in their team. I'm sure they'll come out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of results that I really want to kind of pay attention to. I think that really need to spoke about. Threave going to Berwick and winning 3-0. Threave have had obviously big result against Glenafton in the Scottish Cup. Going to Berwick and winning 3-0. And again, you look at Threave, and obviously we know that they do have a lot of young, talented players and probably should be playing maybe a couple of divisions higher just with the terms of kind of depth they've got. But Berwick are an established Lowland League side coming from the SPFL. To go there and win 3-0 is one of the results of the weekend for me.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I've never been down to the Threave setup, but I know a lot of people have been down there, and they say it's outstanding. Really set up to be a big club. And as I say, I mean the catchment area down there. I mean, I'm not aware of it, but to go and beat Berwick, you've got to applaud that. That's a big result, big result.
And Irvine Meadow as well, obviously, they've had a really tough kind of maybe probably 12 months, maybe longer, to go and beat Gallifrey as well with a Lowland League side 1-0. The kind of form Irvine Meadow have been in, you never know the kind of boost that can have for their confidence. And I think a much needed result for Irvine Meadow, and I want to kind of pay attention to Ben, and to get that result, I think marvellous.
Definitely. I say we went down to Gala last pre-season, and as I say, I think we acquitted ourselves well that day as well. But for Irvine Meadow, the big name, and as you say, they've had maybe a tough 12-month period, and they're maybe trying to reach for some. Maybe that's something they've got to hold down, and that'll kick them on,
Yeah, and obviously Drumchapel as well, winning 3-0 at Newton Grange. Fair play to them. Kilsyth beating Port Glasgow 6-4. Kilsyth Athletic beating them 6-4. Hurlford beat Lugar 4-2. Rob Roy beating Whitehill 2-1. A thriller if you were at Glasgow United 6. Forth Wanderers 5. Dalry obviously coming up unlucky against Civil Service. Cumnock beating Lacoa. A lot of West Sides flying the flag. Junior Cup, Lags beat Caledonian Locomotives 5-0. And unlucky for Petershill, obviously put in a really good showing against Lowland League side Trinent in the Junior Cup. Lost 6-7 in penalties after a 2-2 draw. Kevin, I'm going to say something maybe controversial here, and I'm keen to get your thoughts on this. And obviously you, Kilsyth Rangers, obviously played Bowness, a Lowland League side in the Junior Cup. I'm not a fan of this open invitation to Junior Cup. I get the Junior Cup and the history, I get it. And I know a lot of people will not like me saying this, but by doing this, I think you're losing the Junior Cup feel. And I think maybe this could be the last season, and do we maybe look into a full kind of non-league cup where we bring into your 5 teams? Because I think by doing this, I think the Junior Cup's beginning to lose its prestige for me. I don't know if I'm maybe controversial, but it's kind of where I'm falling on it.
No, I agree with you, Scott. I mean, we actually had to play Bowness on a Sunday, which wasn't ideal, And that caused its own problems. We had 3 players running in the Scottish run that day, the Great Scottish Run.
Yeah.
So the captain was one of them. We went away through there with 3 players down, due to the fact it was a Sunday fixture. So, that thing, the Lowland League aren't working with us, because they're basically telling their teams or their clubs will go into it. We're not accommodating using a Saturday.
Yeah.
Because I think Bowness actually played Celtic B on the Saturday and then played us on the Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's bizarre,
Yeah.
And I get it. I think the Junior Cup should just be about the junior sides. It's your competition, and at the end of the day, I'm not saying don't let anybody in, but I'll be interested. I'll be looking out for it to see when Bo'ness play. I think it's who have they got? They go in the next round. Is it the
Don't know, to be honest
a
with you.
Dawson?
It
Dawson?
could be, yeah, it could
I
be.
think it's a Dawson. A Dawson
Right.
at home.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that game pans. Is it Sunday? Is it Saturday? You know. So definitely it's got its own problems. You know, and as I say, I'd like certainly something just to be for the junior teams only. You know, and we move forward with that. But yeah, it's the guys above it decide that, innit? So
Yeah, and that again, obviously, I understand the kind of position they're in, and obviously, like as you say, if you're extending kind of lowland league sides, and obviously, like I don't know if Trinent were a junior side, like either they were, but I don't know what their history was with the cup. Bo'ness United, I think, maybe won it, so I understand those teams want to get back into that kind of. They want to try and kind of win that cup because at the end of the day. And you ask anybody at sides like Auchinleck, for example, Glenafton, Cumnock, Hurlford, teams that have won it, that have won it in recent years, the Junior Cup is still a massive trophy. I understand that. But to me, when I heard that they were opening it to more sides and I saw some of the sides that were applying for it, I was like, to me, I think that looks like they're testing the water for looking at maybe scrapping the junior name because like they've already said that they don't want referred to as juniors anymore, like yet they've got the Junior Cup. So is this just them slowly phasing it out? And there will be people that will be like, yeah, probably should be happening. It's time to move on. And you will still have historical people who will be like, right, the Junior Cup is the Junior Cup. It's the big tournament here. It should never go. And I see both sides of it. But to me, as you say, like I've heard the Lowland League thing. Like Lowland League are not accommodating this. They don't really. East sides don't really want their sides in it. So it's a tough one. But to me, I just think it's maybe losing its prestige in a way.
it might be. You know, as I say, that's a disappointing thing because as I said, as the Scottish Junior Cup is a day for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fans all love that. You know what I mean? And as I said, that even taking that Saturday to the Sunday for us, it took the edge off it a wee bit. You know, and maybe I don't see how the Lowland League can accommodate their clubs. You know, I think that's been a bit of snobbery there. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Especially when a lot of the sides have kind of come from that background as well. Just looking at the kind of likes of kind of Bo'ness, like obviously like Broxburn, Trinent, they've all came from the junior background, like sides like Kelty and Bonnyrigg. Like I don't get it personally, but again, it's higher people than us to make those decisions. Let's get into the league action. Obviously, we had one game in the Premier Division. I think a bit of a statement win actually, because like Gart Cairn, a lot of hype about who they've got in their squad, a lot of hype about who they've brought in, the money they've spent, and they needed a big result, and they needed it in the kind of one weekend where there wasn't any other action. To win 5-1 at Benburn, the likes of Andy Stirling, Ross Caldwell, Ian McShane, Camille Crawl all scoring, I think that could be a big victory for them and one that I think they needed just in terms of where they've been at. Obviously, they beat Drumchapel a couple of weeks ago. They beat Bees. They're on a good run at the moment. They've won the last four. So they're beginning to find a bit of form and they could be worth watching.
Definitely. Again, just touching on what you spoke about earlier, the leagues are all highly competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think if you can get 2 or 3 games on the bounce, you put a wee run together, you can maybe pull yourself away from the pack. But the flip side of that is, if you lose 2 games on the bounce, you know the other team's only too far behind you, so you fall back into that kind of the fight, if you want to call it. But no, as I say, nobody likes to see obviously the changement of management. It's always a difficult period for any club, but they're putting results together, so a big result for them. Big result.
Yeah, I really think that. Can you look at the squad? I mean, there's a lot of players in there who have played at a really high level. A lot of them that have won the league in the west of Scotland. Like, you just wonder if they can keep this run going. Are they kind of? I wouldn't even say they're dark horses, but they had a disappointing start. And as I say, if you put that run together of 4 or 5 wins, you're no long until you're jumping up the table.
Well, they're 5 points off the top.
Yeah, exactly.
You know that. So the disappointing run isn't really a disappointing run because they're still well within the top half of the table. So you know, just say a couple of more runs and I think when the top teams play each other, that's when things start to kind of, somebody catches somebody, and that might be something that if they're just sitting on the wings, they might just keep in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely, they could be. First division, we saw an unbeaten run come to an end. Rutherglen missed the chance to go clear at the top of the table. They lost 3-2 at home to Ardrossan, who I think a massive 3 points for them obviously takes them up to 10th in the table. I think Ardrossan, I think the team at Ardrossan will have been quite disappointed with their start. But if you looked at one game after that run that they would have looked at to go and make a statement, it's going to beat the unbeaten joint top league leaders. And you see the firepower they've got up front. Ryan Wilson with a double Aidan Ferris. You've got guys like that, you can jump up this table.
Definitely. I think Ardrossan, obviously playing against them last season, I thought they were equipped in every area. They were a right good solid side, the goalkeeper, right to the forwards. They were physical. They were carrying a lot of experience as well. I remember speaking to the manager after the game away from home, and he did say to me, I built this team over a 3-year period, So again, that was one of the things I took away from the game. I thought, what, he's been honest there. Yeah, so I'm surprised at the start to the season. But as I say, I don't know the background. It may well be that a couple of players have moved on. But one of the things that will probably hold them back will be the fact that there's the parts getting done.
Yeah.
And they're not playing at their own park.
Yeah.
Sometimes wee things like that, because every game feels like an away game then, So that, there might be something in that. But the result against Rutherglen, great result. And there's no better way to get your win for them and go and beat the league leaders. So they'll be pleased with that.
And Rutherglen will obviously they'll be disappointed losing their first game, but they can take nothing away for the start they've had. They've been really good so far.
No, they've been outstanding. To say, you look at the results every week, and it's always one that's popping up. You're saying there's a Glens one again. So no, definitely, they've been solid. They've been solid, and their consistency's been good, and I think that's the difference. You get that consistency in the games. You can find yourself up there and riding high. But as I say, they need to go and pick themselves up again, and I'm quite sure they will.
Yeah, no, I think they will as well. Other result, obviously, fair play to Maybole. Obviously, at the start of the season, I was wondering what's going to be happening there. 2-1 win over Ashfield on Saturday takes them up to fourth, a point off top spot. What a job they're doing there. And again, like some of the results they've had, I just want to run down a few of the results where you've thought you've stood up and taken note. They won 2-1 away to Vale Clyde. They have already beaten Ashfield 3-2 away, beat Ardrossan 3-0 early on in the season, beat Blantyre, beat Cumbernauld 2 weeks ago, and then you beat Ashfield again, 2-1 at home. Maybole have been probably one of the standout sides in that division for me.
Aye. I'm looking at the results as well. There's one of the results that flashes up is, losing 1-0 to Cali Braves in the cup.
No, yeah, a lot of Cali Braves people were
Cali Braves are flying.
Yeah.
They're flying in the Lowland League. So that puts it into kind of good context there. The fact that they're Maybole are doing so well. What I mean? An away win against Vale Clyde, never an easy place to go.
No.
Never an easy place. What I mean? And obviously, they're doing really well.
The other side of that, obviously, Ashfield, it's been a tough start to the season. Obviously, they lost a lot of players, obviously, with Michael leaving to go to Darvel, and a lot of players kind of went a different direction as well. You just hope, obviously, I don't know Neil very well. He's been on the show, and I know the kind of how kind of dedicated he is. It does seem a bit of a tough situation there. I just hope he's able to get a couple of results going, because you don't like seeing the kind of start they've had.
Well, listen, he's took the reins. He's had to go in and rebuild. It's never easy.
No.
It's never easy. Especially the style and the form that Mick had. To take all that away, and there's a bit of pressure comes with that as well. So he's plugging away. You know what? They're not far away. Some of the results, it's an odd goal on it.
Yeah.
That's a fine margins. But definitely, I don't know. Is it Neil? His name is Neil.
Neil Schoenville. Yeah.
I don't know the guy, but you know what? The job he's took on, big job, and a big rebuild in the summer there. So what I mean, he'll be looking probably get his Celtic Christmas, and hopefully his results will pick up.
Yeah, he was obviously he done a really good job at Les Mahego, to be fair, but it was one of those, and again, I've got a lot of time for Ross Wilson at Blantyre as well, but it was one of those kind of at the start of the season, you looked at the kind of rebuild that had to be done with Blantyre and Ashfield, and you thought they might struggle, and it looks as if it's panning out that way, and you just hope for both of them they just get some sort of luck.
Well, I mean, to rebuild anything is difficult.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, probably not a full rebuild for us in the summer, but you know, there were best part of 11 players come in, and obviously when you've got that, you know, you think that you've got what you've been looking for, but sometimes you've not, you know, and you have to kind of move things about, and you know, it's tough. It's tough, you know, definitely tough. You know, you're trying to build a competitive team, you know, and as I say, you're coming up against another team, and you're not quite at it. You know, you're still sort of trying to find your way, so it's difficult, difficult times.
Let's move into the second division. Obviously, we did obviously touch on the 4-1 defeat for Kilsyth against Bells Hill. Kind of looking back at the game, obviously in a couple of days to kind of look back. Is there anything kind of jumping out at you that you might have done differently? Is there anything that kind of jumps out in the game? Is it just one of those days?
I think so. I think you always have time to kind of you can overanalyse it. I'm no one for overanalysing. We got that VO thing and all that, but stats and all that don't win you games of football, right? So, but no, I certainly look at it now and I go, you know what? We kind of get caught up. We get caught up in the war, if you want to call it. You know, we're not built for that, and I felt that maybe, you know, going down the throat constantly, firing the ball into centre halves, we made it easy for them. Although centre backs were brilliant, I would like to maybe had a different approach and maybe try to get them down the sides. But the park being so narrow, it was difficult. It was difficult, and I think just prior to kick-off, we had an absolute monsoon of hailstones, you know, and the pitch cut. The pitch cut up badly. But no excuses on the day. I mean, it's all right once the horses run away. We can all be, you know, great ideas and we should have done this. But listen, we take our medicine.
Absolutely, and a big result obviously for Bonnyton as well, winning 2-0 at home to Craigmark. They've had a tough start, but obviously they've picked up in the last couple of weeks. 1-0 against Bells Hill last week, and then a 2-0 win at home to Craigmark. And Bonnyton, that's a good couple of wins for them.
You know what? If there's something good happening down there, I can see that. You know, I can see that looking at some of the results. You know, they're just starting to creep into it. And as I say, it's never an easy place to go.
No.
Never easy. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Astro pitches.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not a big fan of them. I know it's, you know, gets your games played in the winter and stuff like that, but I'm more a kind of grass man. But I say Bonnyton, always difficult to go there. And as I say, you don't really know what you're getting sometimes. I think when we went there last year, I think we won the game quite comfortable, but it was a real surprise to us because the form was decent, and on the day they, you know, it never happened, and we thought, you know what, it was something wasn't right on the day, but we get the 3 points. But we went into that game expecting a wee bit more, if you know what I mean. So you don't know what you're going down there, you know. So keep my eye on that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think result of the weekend probably has to go at the top. And I imagine, obviously, you kind of being from a kind of youth kind of point of view, you'll know Ross at Muirkirk and know the kind of the players that he's got there, and you know the kind of job he's doing. Winning 4-0 at home to Whitlets, you talk about statement wins, 9 wins for 10. Is it too early to say that Muirkirk have been the standout side in the whole of the West?
Not at all. I mean, Ross, I know Ross really well. Known Ross for years. Obviously, through the youth, his son actually played at Partick Thistle with my son.
Right, okay.
And we watched many a training session, and we watched for years, 4 years, running in the rain together, talking football. But it's not a big surprise to me at all.
Okay.
You know, Ross had a great side at Benburb, the under-20s. And when he moved to Benburb, he took the boys with him to Muirkirk. And you know what? He probably didn't get the credit they were due last year, because they weren't a bad side. They weren't a bad side.
They did excellent last year.
They were a good side. They were a right good side. And I can only talk about the games that we played against them. I think we won both of the games. But certainly the game at Duncansfield near the end of the season, I think we might have won 3-0. We had never 3-0 game, you know.
Right.
With a coffee and that with Ross after it. And as I say, you know, that's the difference sometimes, you know. 3-0, people look at that and say, oh, it's 3-0. It wasn't 3-0, you know, it was a tight game. It was a tight game. And as I say, a good relationship with Ross. He's a good lad. He's a good lad. And you know what? That's testament to all the hard work that he's put into that team. You know what I mean? And to see big result. I'm not, to be honest, and Ross probably watching. I was kind of looking at that game on Saturday there, and I was maybe looking ahead of myself. Oh, we get 3 points, you know, someone's got to give. I didn't see Whitlett's losing the 4-0. I didn't see that. But you know what? Again, he's put another marker down. And as I say, I think everybody sit up and take notice of that. Not that MD's not been taking notice of the performances, but what a big result that is.
I remember speaking to him a few weeks ago for a piece on the channel, and one thing that he said, and I've got the quote here in front of me, we managed to secure the boys from last season that we wanted to retain, which was excellent. We've signed 5 players and they were all first names on that list in that sense, and it was really a fantastic summer for us. And you mentioned something interesting there. Obviously, he built a really good side at under-20s and he's took a lot of those guys with him. But if I think at youth level, and obviously you'll be kind of better to kind of analyse this more than I will, but if you've built a good rapport with young boys, and you know what boys are like at that age, they'll talk to their pals, they'll talk to other players. That attracts players to come and say, "What am Muirkirk doing? Why do we want to go there?" And you've seen in the success they've had bringing players through, and there's already a couple of players obviously been quoted for a higher level. Like that's down to Ross, and that's down to the kind of way the team's balanced.
Oh, 100%. You know, they say that. I think you touching on, you're saying that he's brought 5 players in. That's 100% right. You know, I think the nucleus of that squad go back to his Benburg days, and you know, and a great believer. And unfortunately, at some clubs, you don't get the time for youth players. Right? I think if you give players time, give them time to sort of step into the environment, you can get that result. You know what I mean? And this is he's getting the fruits of the labour now. You know, the boys went into many a battle last season. As I say, they're battle hardened. You know, they've took a few punches in the chin. You know, they're stronger for it. You know, and obviously bringing in a wee bit more experience to blend in with the younger boys. You know, he's getting that success rate now. And as I say, he'll stick to his principles and his guns. You know, that's one thing about him. You know, Ross, you know, he'll not be kidded, and he's honest assertion on everything that he does. You know, so a lot of respect for Ross.
Yeah.
And I'm delighted to see him, you know, getting the fruits of his labour, and you know, as I say, he's a good lad. I actually know his assistant, Kieran O'Hare. And Kieran spent a lot of years at Benburg, but funny enough, I had Kieran at youth level.
Okay.
So he's a good lad, I know. He's a good lad, I know.
Yeah, it just looks a really good fit and a really good kind of spirit down there as well. Looking at the third division, obviously with a Friday night game, when Glasgow University won, Wishaw won, McGregor scoring 4, Wishaw a bit of transition. Aaron Connolly obviously taking over. Knowing the guy Aaron is, obviously I've got to know Aaron really well, and I know his passion for football. And he's went into Wishaw, obviously a difficult situation, and I'm more than confident he'll get it right there.
Aye, well, I actually I heard something that, you know, he's brand of football. He likes to get the ball down and play. You know, they better cut the grass then. You know what I mean? I know, as I say, good club Wishaw. Lots of battles with them over the last couple of seasons. Again, club in transition. You know, new manager coming in. Never easy. Never easy, because he's having to go and work. He's not even had a summer where he can go and bring players in. You know, so it's obviously difficult. I noticed that they've picked up a few players that have been on transfer market there, probably experienced players as well. So, yeah, good luck to Aaron. It's, as I say, never easy to build a team when he's been given the job. Was it East Kilbride Thistle? Was it?
East Kilbride Thistle, yeah.
Aye, lots of good young talent at East Kilbride Thistle. Young players. I've watched them a couple of times pre-season. So that'd be interesting to see if they moves in that direction with some of their boys.
Yeah, and as I say, it's been a difficult start, and like I'm more than confident they'll get it right there, and I can see them kind of kicking on, and I think they'll be fine, to be honest. Probably another result out of the weekend that really caught the eye. Obviously, fair play to Sean at Ardea for the job he's done there. 5-1 away to Glenvale. Obviously, they had a really tough season last year, and they've bounced back marvellously so far this season. Sitting in second in the league, 17 points for 9 games. Ardea are really kind of flying this season.
Definitely. You know what I mean? I don't know Sean personally. Obviously, just seeing interviews and stuff like that. He's a larger than life character.
Mhm.
Very, very honest. You know, I like that. And as I say, when we went down to Ardea, you know, really tough game. And as I say, real sort of quite hostile, although there's nobody there. But you know, it was one of the kind of environments where you're saying to yourself, you really need to be on your game today to take something for this. And as I say, great result from him. He'll be looking to bounce back into the sort of second division. But again, third division, it's another competitive league.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, absolutely.
You know that there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it at all. Nothing in it at all. You know what I mean? So that'd be interesting. Obviously, you've got Glasgow United there as well, big club. You know, so they scoring lots of goals as well. So, there's definitely a lot of competition, and I don't think you could actually look at the Premiership aside. If you look at the 3 divisions and nail down the top 3 in each division, I don't think you could.
No, I don't think you could.
I know it's early, but
yeah.
Even I still think you'll be saying that after Christmas. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and Glenvale, I think, is a good example. That's obviously like they were really impressive last season, and most of the players are still there, but they've struggled when they've come up. And is it a case of like we don't, because you look at Thorn and you look Thorn, I think have kicked on. I think Thorn have probably recruited better in the summer and probably their talents developing a bit more. But I think Glenvale will be quite disappointed where they're at, especially losing 5-1 at home, which last season you didn't really think that would happen when they went up.
Yeah, well, I think you take that back to a couple of seasons ago when I think Big Ian Kennedy was in there with West Park.
Yeah.
West Park and Kilsyth in the 4th division. They were knocking it out between them every week. And I think obviously Ian moved on, and I think there was a bit of transition at West Park. I get that, but Kilsyth Athletic then went in, and you were looking to see, see how that goes. But again, I think maybe the level for Glenvale, 4th division, get into 3rd division, it's a wee, the level's a wee bit different, and as I say, sometimes it can take you a bit of time. That transition, you're saying to yourself, we just stroll right in here. I think obviously Bellshill got the win against us at the weekend, but Bellshill came up to the 2nd division, and I think they start no being the best, and they'd be looking at that and saying, right, okay, we'll maybe have to try a few different things. So it might be the same for Glenvale. Certainly if they've got the same squad, it'll all come together. If it works for you, and I'll go buy you. And
Definitely. But we'll move into the 4th division. Royal Albert losing 3-0 at home to Kello. Goals for Miller, Scott and Rodison for Kello. Easterhouse 4, Carluke 0. Tom a double, Walker and Nicol. Big result, I thought, for West Park. 5-0 home win over BSC. Gibson, Gonga, Kennedy, Baldy and McCormack. And Giffnock 2, Rossvale 2. Boyle and Tompkins for Giffnock. Rossvale's goals came from Docherty and Niame. 4th division, obviously big. Kello obviously joining there. They're joint 2nd. Obviously Rossvale drawn 2 each. But Easterhouse going up to 5th. West Park going up to 6th. Some big results at the weekend for those sides.
Definitely. I know Mick, the boy Mick at West Park. I think he had a tough season last year. I know through speaking to him, he's looking as if he's got something good there. They've had a really good couple of cup wins as well. I think they're back on the road on Saturday. I think they're going up to Dundee again on Saturday. They were up. Was it Lockheed United? I think they beat them in the cup. They had a big result up in Dundee. So he's recruited well. He's got a couple of good boys in. As I say, he's recruited well, and obviously Rossvale, play good football as well. Big Josh has done well with Rossvale. As I say, I had 15 years at Rossvale Academy actually, so Rossvale's got a wee place in my heart. You know what I mean? I always look out for the results. So, but no, that's again tight, competitive. As I say, there's always a surprise there. Always a surprise. I'm thinking that West Park could be the surprise. I think if you take where they were last year, they're going well. and I'd love to see Rossfield come up. I'd love to see them come up. You know what I mean? I think they were chatting on the door last season. You know, they were just a couple of games short. You know, and love to see them coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. But obviously, in terms of yourselves, obviously at Kilsyth Rangers, like 3 week this week, obviously, how important is that? And then a big clash against a team that are probably in a similar position in terms of the table, home to Lanark. Like, it's the games keep coming, but how important is it for that 3 week?
Well, they say that it's disappointing these 3 weeks coming so early, but I say somebody would say you need to win your cup games and you'll know the 3 week, you know. So, but no, as I say we've got a good week behind us now. We can prepare for the Lanark game again. When you're preparing now, you know what you're getting in for. They're battle hardened. They'll be looking to come, and obviously it's not a 6-pointer, but I think with the two teams being so close, you know, I think if you can get the win, you know, it kicks you on. But I mean, you've got to be respectful. And as I say, I'll certainly be respectful. And I know now that, you know, every point that you get in this league, you've got to earn. You know, you've got to earn and never ever look too far ahead. But I'm quite sure it'll be a feisty game, lots of action. Hopefully we can score a few more goals as well, you know. I think you touched on it earlier. I look at the sort of goals scored and kind of goals against. I never like to fall into that minus bracket, you know. And obviously we've had two sort of big defeats. Nielsen beat us 4-1, and obviously losing to Bells was 4-1. But as I say, I'd like to score a few more goals. And as I say, I'm not being disrespectful to any other teams, but we've had the chances to score the goals. We need to start being a wee bit more ruthless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Kevin, again, like, obviously, thank you very much for being a part of the show, and obviously, we wish all the best for the season going forward. And thoroughly enjoyed your company, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure, Scott. Anytime, mate. Thanks very much.
And thanks very much to everyone who has tuned in. Please subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. And obviously, as well on Patreon, you'll see a lot of our bonus content at this level. We'll see you all soon for the next episode of the 80. Thank you very much.